The next set of principles are another pair, and they're size and proximity. So larger elements are perceived first and are interpreted as being more important. Objects that are near one another are perceived as belonging together. So for example, instead of seeing this as 7 circles, we're more likely to perceive them as 2 groups of circles. A helpful way to use proximity is with chunking. Instead of just laying out a long list of data, you might consider grouping your information so that it's easier to scan and interpret. So we're going to skip our example HMI for just this screen, and I want to talk about Whitespace a little bit first. It's closely related to size and proximity. It can be hard to talk about because when we're referring to Whitespace, we're talking about the part that isn't there. It's a space that flows between and around elements. So Whitespace makes reading and scanning easier. It creates breathing room for the eye by breaking up the page. It helps your interface from feeling cramped and overwhelming. It helps bring prominence to other elements it interacts with. It guides your user through the interface, and it doesn't have to be white. The term Whitespace is kind of a carryover from print days where most everything was printed on white paper. Whitespace is used to give your layout more breathing room, and it makes the individual elements on the page more interesting to look at. That's what makes taking in a lot of information like text more comfortable. So a classic example is Google's homepage, which very effectively uses this idea of breathing room. The other way to use Whitespace is to bring prominence to a certain element. So this is a classic VW ad, and it's famous for its use of Whitespace. Rather than just being wasted space, it's actually an active element that forces your eye to that car to figure out what's going on there, and then brings your eye down to the message. Google's material design language makes great use of this concept as well. The primary action button is located on the bottom right, and it's pulled away from all the data-heavy regions on the top and left side of the interface. So back to our example HMI, we've used proximity to split the navigation into 2 separate groups, navigation and equipment details. And we've brought the equipment labels down with the readouts to make a stronger connection between those bits of information. We've also resized the equipment graphics a bit too, downplaying their importance and giving the entire layout just more white space or breathing room.